we're so grateful to you.
Mm.
In Jesus' name.
Amen. A little bit closer, the mic. Okay. Okay, you ready? Nice.
All right.
Hi again, fam. Welcome to the Good Fruit podcast. This is the first time we've been in here recording with a name. Yay. This is a place where we gather to tell true stories of radical grace and unfathomable genius, all of which point to the one true God that has transformed, rattled, shaken up our lives in the best way possible. My name is Jess. I have been the host in this seat, but I have a dear friend here sharing this space with me today that I could not be more excited to introduce you to. I have Jessica Sorensen here today. Hi, Jess.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be able to be a part of this, for this opportunity to share with you. I am thrilled, and I know it's absolutely divinely inspired because of how we met, because of how quick everything's just come together and happened, and here we are, and we're about to begin this journey together, and I am so excited. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. For those of you at home, I'm going to give you a little bit of background real quick on how Jess and I met, and also on what's happened since the first episode of this podcast was recorded. As I mentioned in that episode, I had this vision for a space that speaks to the glory and the goodness and the consistency of God, especially for those that may have been hurt in his name or may have had difficulty believing or holding on to belief. And as you saw in that episode, I was a nervous wreck, but God moved. And then it's been candidly a couple of months since I sat here and did that episode, because there was parts of me that were fighting it a little bit. And there were parts of me that desperately wanted a friend, wanted a partner in this life. I have a really beautiful world of people in my life who I know these kinds of stories would impact dearly. And I have been pursuing and running to the feet of Jesus for over a year now, begging him, God, I know you can. I know it's your desire. I know it's your will for me to have a person, have a partner, have a friend that loves you, that prays to you, that submits to you, that glories in you. And just maybe 2 weeks ago, barely, I ran to I had prayed and fasted, trying to break through some things that had a stronghold on my life, and really desiring to get back into this groove and answer this call, which feels like an assignment and an offering to God. And I run into a church I hadn't been to in a year. And it happened to be a night where they were fixating on miracles, on calling down miracles, healing, transformation, deliverance, all of these good things. It was a Wednesday night. I showed up alone, as I usually do. And it's very rare in our church communities to see women alone without friends or husbands or whatever it might be. And I remember seeing that it was a miracle night. And I had been praying the whole way to church. And as soon as I walked in, I grabbed a little communion cup and I said, God, this is you and me tonight. I don't even know what miracle I'm raising my hand for here, but I know that there's a miracle you have in mind. And earlier that day, my mom had prayed over me to find a friend. And then right after we finished praying, right after we finished worship, I peek behind me to my right and I see this beautiful blonde. I just saw a light on you. I saw a glow around you. And I had this voice, this like urging inside of me saying, go ask if you can sit with her and be weird about it. Like, ask if you can be her friend. Go and be forthright. Go and be bold. So I did. I walked up to you and I was like, hey, can I sit with you? Can I be your friend? And then what did we find out when we sat down together?
Oh my gosh. I mean, seriously miraculous in every way. Like that whole thing, just, I mean, oh my goodness, your perspective and point of view and how it has aligned with mine. And not to cover again all that, but I had been praying myself because, as you know, I was going to be moving in 2 weeks. And I had been praying for a friend as well. I was going to a new place. I'm so excited. I've been so excited about it for months. But in my heart and my mind, I was like, I want to find a good friend. And what's interesting to me is that you and I we don't go to church on Wednesday nights.
Mm-mm.
Like it's rare that I can get there because of my job, because of work. And I just happened to get home early that night. And I said, why not? And so I'm sitting there and you come over and you happen to just ask me and I was, by the way, so grateful. Thank you. It's always a little awkward standing there by yourself. And so thank you for coming and being so bold. And I appreciated that. But yes, when you came over and said, can I sit with you? That's when we started talking about where we were from and what brought us to church that night, right? And lo and behold, you said, I asked you, where do you live? And you said, I live downtown. I'm like, oh, that's great. Where? And you said, by the Delta Center. I said, that's great. Where?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This was immediately an answer to prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Just incredible. Because I said, that's where I'm moving.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Her moving day is tomorrow.
Yes. I couldn't believe it. And at that moment, I was like, okay, this was divinely inspired because we both didn't typically go there on Wednesday nights. It was just amazing.
It was, right after we left, we found out that we had parked right next to each other when we were walking each other out that night. I was like, our cars became best friends first. And as we sat there and were kind of like, I was being weird. I was just overwhelmed with the Spirit of God on it, knowing this was what you prayed for. I am giving you the answer to your prayer, not just in a beautiful, kind, interesting person that has a really impressive job and a really delightful personality and is so engaging, but somebody that truly battles alongside in spirit and in faith. And spiritual warfare is a very real thing. And that's something that I have been immersed in for maybe the last year and a half, especially as we discussed, and we'll get into it later, leading up to a project like this, where you're trying to bring some light into places that maybe don't have it there already. And this particular place that we both live or will soon be living in is actually the nucleus of a lot of my world here in Utah, of these people that I love so dearly. And I've actually been taking it to God, because in certain religious contexts, in certain scriptural readings, you are instructed to not love the things of this world, to not participate in certain things that could be deemed opposing God or separate from God. And I've struggled because I consistently find myself in these environments that, as I grow in my faith, I feel less and less aligned with. But my heart is so seated into these people, and this is where they are. And so I consistently keep finding myself in these places. And I remembered there was a moment maybe 6 months ago where I had a prayer journal that I had been keeping in the last year, where that's one thing I recommend at home. If you're looking for transformation, if you're looking for God, if you're looking for any clarity that he exists or that he's with you or that he will transform you when you ask him to, just write down a prayer. It's not normal journaling. You're just directly speaking to the God of the universe, and you have an evidence, a date, and you can see growth there. But I remember having this download, as you said it, where I realized, God, I'd been praying for you to maybe find a way to get me out of these environments, because I want to be obedient. I want to have a life that is honoring and exemplifying of you, where you are welcome and you are glorified. And yet I couldn't figure out how to leave these environments and these people. And then I realized maybe I've been praying wrong. Maybe the prayer isn't, God, remove me. Maybe the prayer is, God, let's have revival in those spaces. God, help me bring you into those people's imagination in a way. And that's kind of where all of this came from. And you are now going to be not only my new friend that I like latched on to immediately, but you're going to be in that space with me. And you already, in the first 10 days of us knowing each other, we've already taken you to several of the resident activities. We're both named Jess. So you're just such a natural fit there. And so even just how we met, guys, truly, if you look, we were just talking about it. If you look for evidence of God's touches on your life, you'll see it.
That's right.
And if you ask for things that are within his will, and it is his will that you are in community, it is his will that you have people around you that can war and journey with you. And you are that answered prayer for me.
Gosh, that's so good. That is so good. Well, and right back at you. You're that answered prayer for me too. Having someone who's bold like you, who will stand up and talk about God, especially when you're around people who might be a little hesitant about it. Like you said, the ones who maybe haven't experienced the goodness of God in the way we know is his character. We know it's his nature. He can't help himself, but be good. The fact that you have that within you, that you want to share it. You want to share it with people. You want to share it with your community. And you're going to change lives because of it. And I'm excited to be a part of that and watch and see the transformation that you help bring to other people's lives. So.
God's going to do it, but we are here and we are willing. And you have a very real job that you go to that makes it so that we can't have her every single time, but I swear we're going to have her every time we can, because this woman is a well of wisdom and lived experience and evidence of God's grace. So let's just dig in real quick, if you don't mind. As I've mentioned, the core of this show is to dig into testimonies, to dig into things we've lived through, especially places where maybe we felt like God left us or like we left God, and see where he consistently showed up, where he consistently helped redirect it. And one thing that I know to be true, gospel truth, is that God will take anything that the enemy meant for evil and he will turn it for good. Yes. And you have a story that just repeatedly exemplifies that.
Absolutely.
So do you mind just walking us through a little bit of your testimony?
Yes. Oh, I would love to. Thank you. I tell you that scripture, God will turn all things to good for those who love him.
And are called according to his purposes.
That's exactly right. That scripture is my mantra for life. It is my absolute mantra, because I see this happening over and over again. And I tell you what, I haven't met somebody in life yet who can justify a situation the way I can. I am the ultimate justifier. Okay? I can rationalize anything, and that's not good. I'm working on that, and I'm as I go through experiences in my life, I feel like it gets a little bit better. But when I look back at my life, I have rationalized my way through all the decisions that I have made, good or bad. And there's a painting. You may have seen it. It's pretty popular, but there's a painting with this little girl who holds this little teddy bear, this like that small teddy bear. And Jesus is kneeling in front of her, asking her to hand over this teddy bear because he's got a huge one behind his back that he wants to give her. I actually bought that painting because it was so symbolic to me of what I need to do every single day I get up and get out of bed. Hand control back to the Lord. Because every time I try to take control of my life, and we don't know what the best thing for our life is. We don't know. But we like to. We like to take control of our own lives. And I think that's a human in us, right? It's hard to relinquish that control. But every time I try to control my life, it never ends well. It just doesn't.
Same.
It's a crash and burn. And I'm like, Jess, you don't see what God sees. You see this much, and God is outside of time. Why wouldn't you want to let him take you through your life, guide your steps? And so it's been a journey that I've been going through, and I have to do it almost every single day, right? I have to remember, okay, you don't need to control this. You need to look to God, and he will take you and he will help you, because that's who he is. And it's a beautiful thing, because when we do that, he blesses us every single time. But we have to be willing to make him the Lord of our life. We have to let him back into that driver's seat of our lives, because every time we do that, he creates good. It's just who he is. He can't help it. So as I was thinking through this morning, getting just downloaded of all the past experiences that I have had and the crossroads that I have seen in my life, I never thought I'd be where I'm at today in my life. Never in a million years. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Yay!
And
you're here.
Because I'm here. And he's been able to take all my poor decisions, which have been a lot, and brought me to this moment. And just the most incredible, miraculous things in my life that I know it's him. I know it's him. There's absolutely no other explanation. But there was this time back in, it was 2012, and I had just recently gone through a divorce, and I'm not condoning divorce. I think if you've made, that commitment, you work through it. And I'd been trying to work through it for a year and a half, but it was a very abusive relationship, and he wasn't willing to change. And there was finally this time where I said, I was very much in prayer during this, very close to God during this whole time. And I said, I can't do it anymore. He doesn't want to make this work. And if he doesn't want to make this work, it's physically hurting me. I have to get out. And I did. And I remember as clear as day driving in my car. I had been divorced maybe for a week officially. And I felt this sense of freedom, right? I felt the sense of freedom. And I think I'm sure everyone can relate to that sense of freedom when you feel oppressed, whether that's in a a bad marriage, or you've gone through that really hard, oppressive religious background, or there's so much that when you escape something that's had such control over your life, you get this sense of freedom. And I remember at that moment seeing two paths in front of me, and clear as day, it's almost like I'm right there in the car right now, but I saw two paths in front of me, and I knew the path that God was saying, Jess, I need you to stay here. I need you to continue on this path. And then I saw this other path in front of me that said, you've been through a lot and you deserve to have fun.
I have chills because, yes, I think we've all probably had that moment. Whatever you believe, we've probably all been like, I deserve a break.
I deserve a break.
I deserve to shut off my brain. I deserve to let loose. I deserve to do what feels good.
I want to feel good. I want to experience the life I haven't been able to experience in the last 8 years. I feel like I deserve, okay, here's where I started getting the problem. Yeah. I deserve, right? And that's where it started. I deserve to have a good time. I deserve to live the life that I want now, right? And it was at that moment where I almost felt a disconnect because I knew the path I was going to choose because I wanted to be in control. Okay, so that took me on a journey for the next 7 years, a 7-year journey where I became someone I didn't recognize. And it wasn't that I didn't love God. I've always loved God. And that's what almost makes it worse because I knew better, right? I knew better. And God, he will always chase you. He will always chase you. He always wants you to come back. There's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do that would make him stop loving you. And even with all of that, I was like, yeah, but I'm going to go do this anyway. And the experiences I had, both good and bad, really created a character within me. But it led me away from the one supreme being that got me through everything in my life up to that point. And I wonder, looking back at that, where would I have been if I would have chosen this other path? What would have happened? But now that I'm sitting here, again, God works all things together for those who love him. I see, even though I went on this wild journey away from what I should have probably been doing, he has turned my life around in such an incredible, miraculous way. I don't think I'd see his hand so much in my life or be the person I am in my life without some of the things that have happened that I have had to go through and experience. And I don't recommend it because you do that and you learn the hard way of what you shouldn't do, right? But I tell you, my testimony because of it is so much stronger now. I found my church. I found my friends. I'm going to get all choked up here and I'm trying not to, but I have seen his hand on my life. I shouldn't have the job I have. I shouldn't have the success that I have. I shouldn't have miracles every single day. The joy and the peace and the love and the fact that he's been able to take such bad situations and then turn them into good. the fact that I can look back on my life and really understand now, because now I understand that if I can relinquish control and give my life to him, he can't help himself but bless it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen blessing after blessing after blessing in my life. And I'm so grateful to him for that, and then just the most recent miraculous story is just the fact that you and I met and I'm moving in, and I'm just so grateful to him. And I'll say, I was thinking about it this morning. I can really relate to the Exodus. I can really relate to the the Israelites who were consistently making mistakes, and how God, he never left them. He was always there. He was always there waiting for them to come back. And every time he did, or every time they did, he was there with open arms. And recently, I made a rather bad choice. Probably 6 months ago. And again, I took myself away from God. And it's this back and forth. I'm a rebel at heart. And thank you, God, for loving me anyway. But about 6 months ago, I made a bad choice. And again, I felt that disconnect. And it was everything I could do at that moment to get that back. Because once you know what love and pure joy and an everlasting happiness feels like, you can't live without it. You don't want to live without that. And only God can bring that to you.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just remember pursuing God, because you have to seek him in everything. And finally, I got that breakthrough at church. Actually, we were doing our praise and worship, and I was standing there singing and asking him to come back. Like, I need a touch. I need a touch. I need to feel you. I feel empty, and I need to feel you again. And immediately, I just got hit in the heart. I felt it. And it's tangible. It's a tangible thing when that happens. And I was so overwhelmed, because I'm like, it had been a few months of me trying to pursue because of this mistake. And as soon as I felt it, it was like I got hit over the head, and it was beautiful. And I was like, thank you for coming back. Thank you for being part of my life again. And not that he was always there, but because of my decision, I had taken myself away from him. And he's so graceful, and he's so loving, and he wants us back. And so I just love moments like that, because it's a reiteration of how good he is and what he wants to do for us.
Oh, yeah.
So
I want to thank you so much for your vulnerability. That story, the stories that you shared are exquisite. They are textbook what God does in a life when you have your hands open. And I have so many questions. I'm going to keep asking Jess to come on the show so we can dig into some of these, because I think that the DNA for this that we want to infuse is having each episode kind of dwell and fixate on a characteristic of God. And I want to do a full episode in the future with this theme, but what kept coming to mind is that God is a gentleman. And while he is dapper and dashing and everything you could dream of, the love of your life, the wellspring of true love, of unshakable, unmovable, irreplaceable love, he will not intervene on your free will. He will not invade your life, your body, your mind. He won't invade your situation without being invited. You have to invite him in. And that's all it takes, guys. Like, if you have even a seed, even an inkling, we've talked about in the past, suspending disbelief. If you even have a moment where you're like, maybe God could exist, and you just sit there for a second and say, hey, God, I don't believe in you, but I'm curious. Show up. Watch what he does in your life, because the moment he's given access, I pray it all the time. God, I give you legal rights. Invade my life, invade my circumstance, drain me, because I want more of you. I know that your way is better. Everything you just talked about, the fact that we desire control. I think that the core human condition, if we're going with the scriptural understanding of the universe and of creation and of humanity, is that there is this inclination to be God and master of our life. There is this desire to take control and to make ourselves so big. Almost every single self-help modality in 2025 centers around you.
Yes.
Your truth, your will, optimizing your processes, and it all leads to death. And I'm not saying people haven't experienced maybe some type of freedom from that, and I want people to have freedom, but I'm saying you don't have to work that hard at it. It's actually really easy to experience freedom when you're willing to recognize that the God of the universe, the one who was able to breathe a single breath and create the most complex nuances of existence, that he loves you and he exists outside of time, exactly as you said. He's just as real and just as focused on you, Jess Sorensen, as he is on any other person that has ever existed or ever will. Anybody at home, he loves you so much that his only desire is to be near you. And I think there's so many people that get caught up with, can God be good because evil exists? Can God be there because I don't feel him? Where was he when these things happen? How could he have allowed these things to happen? There's a few answers to that. And again, we're going to dig into it. Keep tuning in because this is the good stuff. But to me, one of the things that I've seen in my own life is that he will there are times where God will intervene when you're so sick. Yeah. That was my experience. I shared it in my testimony. I got to a point where existing was too painful. And I didn't even have a hard life. I just had experienced enough emotional and spiritual wounds that I had no more hope. And I didn't have any more energy to fight. I was done fighting. I had been fighting for 10 years. So God, I allowed him, I asked him to. I had a heart that was open to it, but I do believe even if I didn't, that he would have intervened in that moment to at least breathe some life back into me. And then the work begins on helping repair the damage that's been done to ourselves through our free will, through our pursuit of pleasure, through our pursuit of worldly freedom, worldly gain, worldly favor, worldly influence. All of those things, we've been so deceived.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've been so deceived to think that any of it matters. It literally is so fleeting.
Right.
And the craziest thing that I think both of our stories can attest to is the fact that when you release those things, when you say, hey, God, take my career, take my finances, take my debt, take my relationship, take my broken heart, take my trauma, take my generational wounds, when you give them to him, not only is he able to give you more in this world than you could get for yourself, he's able to do it in a way that lasts. He gives you so much more than you even thought to ask for. He is a God of abundance. Absolutely. Every single miracle that we saw Jesus do was more than anybody could ask for. Right. And it always saw people fed and people filled and people healed beyond their ability to even ingest it. There were always leftovers.
That's right.
There's more than enough to go around. He is endless, endless, endless. And on top of that still, he restores time. You talked about that in your story, and that's something that I have been laying in my quiet time at the feet of Jesus, is the fact that, just like you said, I remember having it prophesied over me since I was a little girl. Jess, this is your future. You are going to have influence in this world for the kingdom of God. People's lives are going to be changed because of the way that you're going to communicate to them. People are going to have access to an understanding of God because of the way you're going to move. And then I spent my entire adult life, I allowed one excuse, one bad experience. Well, there was a few, but one major bad experience. I took the excuse and said, well, now I deserve to feel better. I deserve to heal my way. And then I remember sitting there and thinking in the last year and a half, gosh, if I hadn't done that, 10 years, if I hadn't done that, where could I be? Whose lives could be different? How much further in my faith, how much further in my life, how much further in my ability to reflect God would I be if I hadn't made that choice selfishly? And out of pain, we do everything out of pain.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's so rare that we move truly out of anything other than ego or pain.
That's right.
Because that is the human condition.
That's right.
We are broken. We need something good, and we seek it everywhere. And yet, exactly to your point, we're sitting here today And I'm having conversations daily with people about God's goodness. And so he restores time. There is not a single second, not a single experience, not a single wound, not a single devastation or broken dream or broken family or broken body that is ever going to be wasted.
That's right.
In God's plan. Even without your permission, he will turn it for good, because it is not just about you.
That's right.
It is about the people in your life beyond you. It is about generations. It is about the past, the present, and the future. And it is about the future that we long for in heaven, where we have it be crowded of all of those people that we love.
Oh my gosh.
And so I feel like that's one of the things that came from our friendship, is we've known each other for maybe 10 days. And the first time we hung out after that church, after maybe 45 minutes sitting next to each other in church, chattering away the whole time, the first time we sit down, we sit on our pool cabana and we start chatting and just getting through our life stories and connecting. And we're seeing every single moment in each other's lives that God was there. We're seeing it in our own lives. And it feels like restored time. It feels like I've known you my whole life.
Right.
It feels like I could trust you with anything, because God is at the forefront of our connection.
Absolutely.
And we give him glory because we prayed for this.
Absolutely.
And it's a good thing.
It's such a good thing.
It's such a good thing. And so I still have questions that I want to dig into based on what you shared, but I just love everything that you shared, because I think people at home need to know your pain, your circumstance, whatever is overwhelming you inside of your heart, your secrets that you're not telling people, the things that you cling to because they feel like they are able to alleviate pain, they're able to give you pleasure, they're able to free you and your mind and your body, whatever rationale you have for them. I think a lot of us, I'll speak for myself if I'm being honest, those things are actually the things that I don't really want to talk about that much. They're the things I don't really want to share that often, because I know that they're not life-giving things.
That's right.
And the secrets that we keep, the things that we don't speak about, are the things not only that we will experience freedom the moment. I think that confession has such a loaded connotation behind it, especially in the spiritual or religious context, but confession is powerful.
It is.
Just speak something out loud to someone you can trust. We've had moments of confession already, and things get broken when they're brought to the light, when they're brought into someone you can trust, when you have somebody else's eyes on you to help you move forward through something. But the other thing is, those secrets, those experiences, those wounds, those hurts, they are going to change people's lives.
That's right.
Because on the other side of you bringing that forward, either to another person you can trust or to God himself in private, the moment you address it and you move forward towards healing, the breakthrough on the other side, again, is more. And we're speaking this from experience.
That's
We're
right.
not on here because we're not church
No.
staff. We're not like commissioned by
We have
someone to do
lived
this.
it.
We have lived it. We have seen it, and we're on the other side of it recently,
Right.
every single day. Like, I also want to make sure people at home, before we dig into the questions, I want to make sure you know, when people profess God and when they profess a life that is centered on God, rooted on God, grounded in God, they fall the same way you fall. Every single day. I clutch to the hem of Jesus because I know how broken I am on my own. I know how much I failed at life on my own. I know how much I'm going to lead myself to destruction on my own. I know how much I hurt inside.
Yeah.
And to your point, just that touch. And we know what it's like. You'll know what it's like. You'll know what it's like when you experience a touch of God. You feel it everywhere. It's like your DNA. It's like your blood comes to life in a way. And I always call it like, it's like goosebumps for a second, but I also will feel my eyes well up with tears. I was doing that this morning as we were preparing for this. I went on my little drive down the side of, I think, Utah Lake or whichever lake it is. It's gorgeous. And I was just blasting worship music because I was just thanking God for this opportunity. And I just start bawling with joy because I'm like, God, you're so good.
Oh, he's so good.
You're so good.
He's so good.
I'm gonna have a few more questions about your story, but one of them is, assuming that there's people listening who have never gotten to the point of believing that they can trust God with anything. In fact, maybe believing that they can blame God for their pains. Can you describe either the first time you remember learning that you could cling to God as your Lord, as someone you could trust, or any advice you have for someone at home that's struggling with that idea?
You know, that's a great question, and I guess I would say I'm fortunate I was raised in a very religious home. So I always knew about God. I always knew that he was a good father.
Mm-hmm.
I just hadn't had that experience of really getting to know him on a personal level
Mm-hmm.
at that point yet, right? And it took, you talk about, you go through these experiences in life, and maybe in a future podcast we can really dig into some of those actual experiences when we have more time. But you go through these experiences in life, and once you heal, once you give it to God and he heals that for you. I love what you said. At that moment, you are destined to help somebody else with that same problem. And so, I think the more often we have these experiences,
Mm-hmm.
the more we actually do trust God,
Mm-hmm.
because we see how he heals us. We
Mm-hmm.
see how he turns these things for good. But my thing, what I would actually say to those who haven't met God, if you haven't met God and you've been trying to live life on your own, my advice is, what do you have to lose?
Mm.
You have tried life, controlling it. You've tried life the way you want to. And there's probably times where you've been happy.
Mm-hmm.
But to really understand that peace that passes all understanding, to understand joy when you're going through hard times, to understand the fact that Jesus is with you, he's holding your hand, he's got you, he's protecting you. Why not try it? Test him. That's what I would say. I would say test him. Test the Bible. There are so many scriptures that I will just repeat out loud and declare them over my day. And every time I do that, every time I put his words into my atmosphere, when I'm speaking his words, the thing in front of me shifts.
Mm-hmm.
It shifts. And so that would be my advice, is just, why not?
Why not?
See what happens.
Yeah.
Just try it.
Yeah.
What have you got
And
to
then you
lose?
let us know, because I'm telling you, I could be wrong. I don't think I am, because it's not my truth. It's a cultivated beginning and end of time truth. We see it exhaustively throughout millennia, that when people have called out to God, the God of the universe, Yahweh, the creator of all things, when they call out to him, he shows up. You know why? Because he loves you, and he was there to begin with. He just wanted to be invited. He needs your free will to want him there. He will not override the gift he gave us as a good father of allowing us the option of choice. So, and again, we're speaking from our personal experience. We're not giving you some type of agenda because we're trying to calculate a tally mark of how many people do this. It's because I know how painful it is in the dark. I know how hopeless it is at the end of ourselves, right? Because again, we're women that I think we have such similar stories. It's crazy. And aren't we so lucky to have her? My gosh, you're a natural at this. But I too was, like I said, I've been involved in a charismatic church since I was born. We've been speaking in tongues. We've been identifying angels and demons. We've been laying hands. We have been praying and expectant, prophesying faith since before I had words to speak. And I speak a lot of words. And so this is like in my bones. And I too had that moment where I was like, you know what? The world is telling me things that don't align with your word. And your word feels really complicated. It feels really hard. We'll get into why the Bible is something that we actually find strength and power in, because I will tell you right now, I was resistant to this thing, mortally resistant to this thing a year and a half ago, and my life has been changed in the last year and a half of just opening it and asking God to show up. The world has twisted this word, and we're so sorry, because that was never the intention. I promise you there's good stuff in here. But we were lucky enough to have early experiences of God. So we had that memory. And so if you don't, I'm not diminishing the fact that this might feel foreign to you, but I'm telling you, I have chosen to leave this behind. I have chosen to strong arm God, to keep him at a distance and to say, don't look at me, God. I'm going to do it my way. Let's take a breather. Can we? Because this hurts and I want to feel better.
Yeah.
I didn't believe the promises at a certain point that he was my rest. He was my safe place.
That's right.
He was the wellspring of my joy. And so I'm speaking from my own experience and you're speaking from yours that when we rely on ourselves, gosh, every part of you gets exhausted.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you are seeking, you're trying so hard. You're like working out with all of your body tensed up. And at the end of that, you can't even walk.
No.
Right? Because you're trying to make it happen with your relationships. You're trying to find the right person on a dating app. You're trying to find the right place to live in with an online, database of places. You're relying on other people's opinions and experiences, having no idea what they value or if they're telling you the truth. And every single time she and I have laid it down and said, oops, that,
Oops.
ha.
Yeah, that's
You get back to being a child. You get back to going to your father, to your
Yes.
papa, to your abba. You go back and say, God, can you fix this?
Yeah.
Because it's messy.
Yes.
And I heard it described recently that when you're able to go to God, especially retroactively, when you're able to go back and do the deep work of reviewing your life and reviewing the parts of your life that planted seeds that have contributed to where you are today, whether that's planted seeds of pain, planted seeds of confidence, whatever it is, when you go back and you try and look at that experience and then try and see where God was in it. I heard it described that it's like taking a rope that's in knots and having it untangled, because suddenly you're able to work through those things with the healer, with the physician, with the architect, with the engineer of everything. And it's just so yummy. I promise you, there is no drug. There is no beverage. There is no relationship. There is no relationship that will ever do for you.
Yep.
You will never do for you what the God of the universe is begging to do for you.
That's beautiful.
Right?
It's beautiful. And you're right. Absolutely. And, isn't it an amazing thing that when you and I, or when anybody goes through these times where they're like, you know what? No, God, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do this because I want to. I know you don't want me to, but I'm going to do it anyway. And yet he still is like, let me help you clean up your mess. Like still. I mean, I don't know anything in the world that could be that patient. I wouldn't be that patient. Eventually I'd be like, hey, well, you got yourself into this. You figure it out. And he's just not that way. That's not him. That's not his character. We make mistakes every single day. And yet he has that patience to open up every single time we come back to him. We come back to him and he fixes it. He helps us. He creates a bond again. He creates healing within us again. And we can search, as you were saying, for all these vices in life or all the things the world wants us to do, because we're trying to fill a void that only he can fill. And we'll fill that for a moment and we'll feel real good for a little bit, but it disappears because it's not eternal. He's the only eternal thing that we have to go find, and he will bring us into that relationship with him. So I thought that was beautiful.
And can we talk for a second? So I think it's like considered maybe a religious platitude, or it's a cliche that there's this God-shaped hole in us, right? Like you just said, there's a hole that only God can fill. There's a space that only God can fill. Can we talk a little bit about why that's true? Because in our understanding of the world, in our consistently testing God and his truth and finding him to be true, we believe he birthed everything. And we believe he birthed everything with the desire to be in relationship with us. And that it was the human condition, the human free will that separated that.
That's right.
And so that hole exists. Can you describe a little bit about how you've seen the truth that is a God-shaped hole and not just and not just the scar tissue of life.
Yes, absolutely. We are created in two parts. We are body and soul.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're not feeding our soul
Mm-hmm.
with good godly things, there's still a part of us that we are feeding,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's good or not so good, right? And every single time I go to God, there is a warmth that comes over me. There is that healing presence that comes over me. And I know my soul is being fed because you can feel that. You can feel that. So I think that's part of it, is making sure that our soul is being fed on the word of God and on his spirit, that we have his spirit with us, that it's guiding us. It's showing us, it's directing the steps that we need to take in life. And I have had plenty of times in my life where I have decided and rationalized my way through maybe some not so great vices.
Yeah.
And again,
Same.
yes, there's vices, and I have tried many different things because there were those moments where I did want to listen to the world versus what I knew was right from God.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to take control back. And every single time, even just the next day, I felt more empty than I did the day before.
Who here, well, there's probably a few, but who here has not experienced a hangover?
Yeah, exactly.
And
right?
a spiritual hangover.
Yes.
Wild.
It is wild.
Yeah.
It is wild. And so going through that phase, or phases, I will say, throughout my life, my ups and downs, and trying to fill those voids with these worldly or these vices, I will say, created a more and more empty feeling because it was never filling what God intended to be filled. And it wasn't until I, again, turned my life back to him that I realized I don't need all of these other things. There's nothing in this for me that brings life.
Yeah.
And the only thing that brings life is walking life out with God.
How is it possible that the moments that I'm alone in my studio apartment with God, worship music, prayer, reading the Bible, meditating on his word, asking him to show up, just lifting my hands in silence, how is it that those are the most peaceful moments of my life? It's not just meditation. It's not just sunlight. It's not just quieting your breath. It is as you said, it's a tangible, God is living. He is real. And he is as real today as he was for those Israelites. He is as real today as he was before the beginning of time. Right. He is as real forever and always. And we're going to talk about it on a future episode, but God is also the reward. Like that time with him is better, I'm telling you, than any type of lived human experience you can fathom or manufacture or conjure up or go seek out a psychic or try and purchase. It just is empty without him. And you could be literally without anything except for him, closing your eyes, dwelling in his presence, and you could be more fulfilled.
Oh my gosh, beautiful. And I hate to say the word addiction or obsession.
You can't,
but
because I have addiction and obsession.
I have addiction and obsession, but the more you experience moments with him, those real tangible moments with him, the more you want those moments with him. You seek for those moments with him because nothing else compares to that. There's nothing else in the world. There's that scripture that says, better is one day in your courts than thousands elsewhere. And how true it is when you experience that moment and how much more you want because of that one moment. That's all it takes. All it takes. You get one touch from God. If you get that one touch from God, you are going to do everything you can to get that touch again. And the more you draw to God, the more he draws to you. It just becomes this magnetized thing, this force. And it's, again, I shouldn't be where I'm at in life. And it's all thanks to God. But now now because of my experiences and because now I know how good God is, I will say obsessed I am obsessed with finding opportunities to be with him on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Oh, gosh, I could sit here with you always. I know we're running out of time for today. So, guys, why don't you let us know in the comments how much you want Jess on another episode again? Maybe we can convince her to take an afternoon or something and give us a little bit more of her time. But this was such a blessing. I know that there are people that are going to be freed, people that are going to be pursuing with curiosity. It's all it is. Just have a little curiosity. Like, we know you're already seeking in astrology. We know you're already seeking answers through any clues of the universe. We know that because that's the desire of our makeup. We want to have communion with something bigger than our flesh. And so we both just invite you, just test him in it. Just invite him to try to show up. And we'll keep showing up here to bring you more stories of these lived experiences. These are not marketing ploys. These are not, neither one of us cares about social media. Neither one of us care. I don't want visibility because vulnerability is hard.
It is.
It's so much easier to be alone with Jesus in private than it is to sit in front of a mic and talk about him.
Oh, yes.
But my gosh, if it is something that's going to have one of you at home tell me that your depression broke, that your addiction broke, that your heartbreak broke, that your eating disorder broke, that your suicidal ideation stopped.
That's right.
We'll do it.
Oh, it's a real thing.
Absolutely. I also want to give a quick thank you once again to our studio partners and our wonderful engineer producer, Dave here. Silicon Slopes has been so generous with their equipment and their space and their time here. They are allowing us to have these conversations that the world might not otherwise let us have. So thank you to our team. Please go ahead and, if you haven't already, hit subscribe or sign up for any of the channels we have. They're all going to be linked in the bio. We're also building out some resources. I'm not sure if I mentioned it on a previous episode, but we're going to have, as she said, there's ways to train your mind and to fill up your cup. And one of those is through music. So we're going to be having playlists that have literally helped resuscitate life back into me when I am struggling, especially after the moments of transformation. You're still going to have struggles. And so we're going to have playlists that you can download, that you can listen to. We're going to have wallpapers that you can put on your phone that you can just look at throughout the day. Hopefully they'll be beautiful so that you can want to use them. And a few other resources. All those things are going to continue to be linked and put on all of our channels. But this is for you. This is for God. And this is for everything he's going to do in your life. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Jess, for taking the time.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Dave, for taking the time and letting us rattle on for a lot longer than we expected to. And we'll be back hopefully next week to give you another story. Yay!